Welcome to Flourish, the podcast for faith-driven mompreneurs who are ready to release overwhelm, create sustainable, healthy habits, and build purpose-driven businesses aligned with their faith, family, and vision. I'm Stephanie Book, a transformational mindset, wellness, and business coach. I'm here to equip you with the tools, mindset shifts, and encouragement to help you flourish. If you're ready to grow a thriving life and business while staying aligned with your faith, purpose, and priorities, you're in the right place. You are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life. Success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. Let's dive in. Hey there, and welcome to the Flourish Podcast. My name is Stephanie, and I'm so glad that you are here. Today, we have a special guest with us. I'm so excited. I love being able to have some friends on and have them share a little bit about them and the way that they can share what they have learned and how it can help you as well. And so I'm so excited to have Rebecca Misek. I should have asked, is that how you say it? Last name?
Misek.
Misek. Oh, I should have asked. I meant to ask you that before. But she's the founder of Arrow Edge Coaching. She's a dual certified leadership coach, ordained minister, and a total powerhouse when it comes to helping high achievers become impactful, heart-centered leaders. She helps people tap into their calling, align with their God-given vision, and lead with clarity and character. I just cannot wait for this conversation. We've been able to talk a little bit before this and a previous time, and we just had so much fun talking. So, Rebecca, I'm so glad that you are here.
It is so great to be here with all of you. Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. So, tell me a little bit about you, your story. What led you into with your coaching, and what lights you up in your work and what you do today?
Oh my goodness. What lights me up is my clients. Honestly, I think of every relationship and every new person I meet, it meets my need for adventure. The person in front of me is a new adventure, a new trail to hike, something new to discover. And the way I'm graced in my life is I can pull the potential out of people like that. That's just what I love to do. And so the thing that really hypes me up is when somebody has a real big aha. You can see their eyes open bigger. You can see their face open up. And I was just born to do this. So the way it all started, though, was that I had nosed my way into a coaching class, like with the senior leadership of the church, which I was not at the time. I was running a Bible school. And in that moment, that teacher recognized me. They said, "You're a natural." And so I really took to it, and I decided to just learn all I could in it. And oh my goodness, I found out it was more effective than pastoral counseling. And I saw more breakthrough and more ahas and more forward motion. And I saw so much lasting change that it just lit me up. I could just do it forever. And so I chose to then do it forever.
That's awesome. I love that. How wonderful to have that be spoken into you as well, for someone to recognize the talents and the gifts that you have and be able to speak that over you. And then you took that on. You didn't like, nah, I don't have it, but you thought, well, what if, so I love that you did that. That's awesome. So I know that you maybe describe yourself as, you like to help people through those moments of breakthrough, through moments of defeat or burnout. So tell me a little bit about, you kind of said you like their wins, but tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I've noticed I'm sick and tired of seeing leaders not be able to play the long game. And so I really embarked on this journey a while back of what does it really mean to do the work that we need to do ahead of time? Before we write our book, before we launch our podcast, per se, before we open our church, our new church, or a ministry or a business, before we do that, what would it look like if we put in some work to make sure that we can really play the long game well? And I've noticed, I have just so noticed in life that if we can really get in charge of our mindsets. I talk about the unshakable life, and the unshakable life for me is defined by what if I could be totally myself inside my identity where my circumstances don't shake me anymore. And I've really found that to be the case of, be totally transformed by the renewing of your mind. And when we do that, when we change the way we think, change the way we navigate in the world, I really help people to wear their real self without the masks. And when we can do that, and we can be authentic and be really solid and confident inside of ourselves. It's so interesting how, life has pain, but, pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. And so
Absolutely.
my goal in my heart is to end that suffering side through gaining unshakable life.
Right. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I love how you bring that out, because I know so many of us struggle with that, with where we have that wall up, right? That we're only very few people might see past that wall, if anybody at all, unless we're allowed to, really be true with who God is speaking into us, who he says that we are. And I don't know, it's so easy for us just to put up that wall, that mask, because it's somehow we think it's easier to hide behind the wall, but actually it's making it more difficult for us. We're putting all that pressure, or just everything is masked beyond that, and then we're not fully shining in the potential that he has for us, or what he has in store for us. So that's really awesome.
I was exploring that. Would it be okay if I spoke into that for a second?
Absolutely. Yeah.
My goodness, I was exploring that because leaders showing up transparently, authentically, vulnerably typically causes pain, right? You end up with judgment or shamed or things like that. And so one main question I'm seeing of leaders is, how can I be transparent, authentic, and vulnerable without getting my butt handed to me, without really paying that high cost? And the revelation I got, just the metaphor I got, was, what's the dress code in each situation? And what I mean by that is, do you show up wearing a suit? Do you wear a swimsuit? Or are you fully naked, right? Naked is totally vulnerable. Well, that depends on what environment you're in. You're not going to come to the workplace in a swimsuit,
right,
and show everything there, but it totally fits on the beach. And so for me, it helped me box together, I can be totally authentically myself, but wearing a different part of myself that corresponds to the situation I'm in. And I've been really having fun helping leaders to just figure out, do I wear a suit here? Do I wear casual? Do I wear a swimsuit? Or do I just come fully exposed?
Right.
We have to know what the dress code is for the environment that we're walking into. Not a mask. There's no mask. You never have to wear a mask in that metaphor.
Right. Oh, I love that. That's a beautiful picture of that. And it's so true. There's definitely places where you can be more vulnerable. You can be, there's our places where maybe that professional suit needs to be on, where you can share just what you need to, but still be your true self, be your authentic self. But that's definitely something you need to work through and learn how to do, I'm sure. So that's awesome. I know that you have mentioned, faith without works is dead, and you have a unique perspective on walking in faith that might not hear. So tell me a little bit about your perspective on that.
Yeah, I know, in church, we really learn the spiritual side of faith. Faith is being able to walk into the unknown, the uncertainty, I don't definitely have the answer. And it's also this place of getting certainty and congruency within yourself. And what I mean by that is that faith without works is dead. Well, if I get certainty over a situation, faith is certainty, then I'm going to have the actions that correspond with that certainty that's in my heart. And so it's really underestimated the power of a decision. And the power of a decision means, okay, I get certainty within myself. And now we are more than just a spirit being. We also have to get that into our bodies and into our hearts. And when we have all of that congruent within ourselves, then we're in a place of certainty. And when we get into a place of certainty, now there is where the action of faith happens. So I think sometimes we miss this part of, we got to get it into our nervous system. When we feel confident on a desired outcome and a direction we're going, if you think about it, if I turn this way and put my eyes this way, my body, when it gets up, is going to go that way. It's not going to just go that way where I'm not looking. And so I have to focus my eyes, my direction, and my actions on the direction I want to go, which is it's an action of faith. So faith is certainty. and my actions follow that certainty, which means I can be courageous because I've got that comfort within myself, knowing that I'm doing what aligns and what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I've had a lot of just real breakthroughs and understanding that certainty has to be put in not just my spirit, but my body and my heart too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I like that picture of that. It's new for me to hear it in that way, but I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that I like the whole your full body, and I went to a training. I'm trying to remember his name, but he wrote a book, and the 15 commitments. The 15 commitments, that's a short and is a long one, but he was talking about a full body. Yes, he was talking about like the full body. And that's the closest thing I can think of, like that makes sense to me. And I'll put that book in the show notes because it's a super good book. Jim Dethmer, that's his name. So he wrote the 15 commitments of the unconscious leader. I don't remember. I'm going to mess up the word, what it's called, but it's a really, really good book. And we went to a training, and he was talking about that, a full body yes, and having us work through. He kind of had some people come on the stage and experience that, like kind of through those barriers that we're putting up for ourselves, and then realizing like having that courageous action that you're talking about and moving into that, because you have the faith, but there still has to be action that takes place. And I think sometimes we pray and we think we're just going to give it to God, and it's important, we're going to give it to God, but we still have to take steps of action. We still need to move forward, because if we don't take those steps, then we're just sitting. We're not, that full body isn't going in, like it's not aligning with what you say you're going to do. So I love that. That's awesome. So yeah, beautiful. So I know that you've talked a little bit about how important it is to process emotions and lead from a place of unity and integrity. You've kind of talked a little bit about that. So what does real unity look like in leadership? How would you hold space for people when it's even hard to love them? So there's a lot of questions in there, but I'd love to have your thoughts on that.
Oh man, there's a lot of thoughts. Okay, so that topic of unity is one that I wrestled with for a good 3-year span of time. Like I just wrestle with it with God and continue to ask him, what is unity? And, John chapter 17 talks so much about unity, but it was such an interesting thing. I was with this group of other leaders, and they were like, we're all about unity. Look, we're doing this together. And they would make this outward expression of what they thought unity looks like. And then I was behind the scenes because I was one of their group of leaders, and I was watching how one of them would go out and speak and the others would critique what they were speaking about. And they would put each other down, and they were competing. And it was such an interesting thing that it drove me into, okay, this is not unity. Right. This is not unity. I'm like, what is unity? And what I really came to after 3 years of wrestling, like really show me what this is. It's so interesting. When we show up absolutely in our identity, like fully ourselves, bringing our full selves to the table, it causes unity because we're playing our part. We're not trying to play somebody else's part. We're not wearing a mask. And that was kind of what it says in John chapter 17, where Jesus is like, let them be one as we are one. Jesus honors the Father and Holy Spirit, and they all come together as one, honoring each and every role. And so it's interesting, like I've seen churches could get into unity in this way of understanding, like Joel Osteen's church. It's all about evangelism. We don't criticize him. He's got his own niche per se. And then maybe another church, they really major in doing food pantries, or maybe they really major in this aspect. Instead of we criticize that, we actually say, oh, that's a part. This is all a part, and they all come together to form a whole. And none of us is a whole in and of ourselves. So for unity really came alive with me when I realized that unity was actually getting solid in who we actually are. And again, wear your real self without the mask, and it'll cause unity. It really will. It'll cause unity around you because you get open to, I'm not worried about somebody else and what they're doing, or, comparison is a thief of joy. I'm not comparing anymore. I'm just like, how can I bring my full self to the table today?
Mm-hmm.
And that can bring such a beautiful unity.
Absolutely. It talks about like in scripture where there's all the different parts of the body, right? They all work together. They all have their own part, right? So that makes sense where unity should be coming together with all those special parts into one, rather than that comparison is a big part, or that judgment that comes in, and pride gets in the way. So all those things that get in the way. But if we are unmasked and we are truly authentic who we are, we're playing our part very well, and then we can come together in unity. So that's really cool. I've never thought of it that way. So that's really cool. So how do you hold space? Like I wanted to follow on that. Like, how do you hold space for people when it's hard to love them? When you're showing up with your full you, but then you have somebody that's just not. They're not about. They've got the mask on big, and so how would you handle leadership through that kind of situation?
Yeah, that's a really cool question, because there's three things in my life that have been one of those tent pegs. That's like years of like asking the Lord. There was another set of time where I'm like, what is love? Like, really, what is love? And it's interesting what I found throughout the years of what love looks like. It's so multifaceted.
Mm-hmm.
The fruit of Holy Spirit is love, and all of its different manifestations, which is joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control.
Right.
It's interesting when you change the meaning you're giving your situation, when you can reframe it and take it from a different perspective, how you can receive people without judgment and be able to love them in the state that they're currently in. I had a major life transition where I had my spouse had gone completely on a different highway than me, like completely. He is now in the LGBTQ circles, and he has become an atheist, and he likes, it's stuff that just it isn't the lane I'm in, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
We have a very good relationship going forward. Obviously, I couldn't continue to walk with him in that journey because I just simply don't walk that same way.
Right.
But it's been incredible to find, what does love look like in the midst of such disagreement? Mm-hmm. And what I've found is that, first of all, I have to understand that everybody has their own map. And so I don't take it as personally when I look at them and say, well, that's what was modeled for them growing up, and that's the map they're working off of, and I can respect that. Obviously, I'm hoping like there's always another level. There's upgrade after upgrade after upgrade. You never done growing, right? If you're growing, you're dying.
Right.
If you're not growing, you're dying.
Right.
I'm like, if you're not growing, you're dying. You have to always be growing. You have to always be expanding. And so you realize that people are operating on their own maps. And they're walking their own journeys. And honestly, I've been able to have compassion and love for people, because I know that a lot of times there's something that happened earlier in life that causes their perspective to be that way. So my sister-in-law explains it really well. It's called Q-tip, quit taking it personally. It almost never has anything to do with you.
Right.
It really doesn't. And to know that, and to be able to be like, well, I'm not going to demand my way. I'm going to, bring myself to the table and do what I need to do. But also, I think it was Robbins, her last name, Mel Robbins. She said the best. Let them. Let them. Embrace them and let them. And when we do that, when we receive people for where we're at, it's so easy to love people, even in the midst of disagreements. And and that's huge disagreement for us with children and all the things, but to be able to just receive somebody as they are and love them no matter what, it's such a gift to be able to do that. I think that that's one thing I've been known for. I think it's interesting just what God did in my life through learning to love, through people who have betrayed me, people who have completely slandered my name and things like that. I've learned to first go to love.
Mm-hmm.
But love doesn't always look like passivity. It's not passivity.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just sitting back and taking it as it is, but it really continually points back to that unshakable life. It's being so solid inside yourself. You know what is you, what isn't you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in 2019, I had just some devastating things happen. And it made me dive into my identity to the point that I got really solid.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what is me and what isn't me. So when somebody accuses something, I go, okay, sure, because I've done that work.
Right.
So it's like, what would it look like for you to actually dive in and know exactly who you are, what really is you? Because a lot of times it's that doubt that creeps in of like, oh, did I really do that? Or did I do that? And we're constantly questioning ourselves, and then we're giving the energy of that.
Right.
You know, and so it is interesting, this idea of like understanding that people are just living off their own maps has really helped me to separate my own heart from what they're handing to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I can take a lot of offensive things and say, okay, well, let them.
Right. Right.
And I can just leave it at that. And it's really helpful when I've done that, because I can operate in just constant forgiveness instead of like, because forgiveness is a choice and healing is process.
Mm-hmm.
So I make the choice of forgiveness like immediately. It's easy now because I know it was never against me.
Right.
It really was. And the other thing I can ask myself is like, is this really about something that's happening right now?
Right.
Or is this really something that's hitting something from me from the past?
Right.
Because the quality of your life is matched with the quality questions you ask yourself. When you ask yourself really good questions, it changes the quality of the life you're experiencing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a great book, Change Your Questions, Change Your Life. I read many years ago, and it's very true. And I think when we focus on what we can control and not what we can't control, we get to choose how we're going to handle a situation. We get to choose the criticism that we hear, or choose, even those out, like the lashing out or something that we might receive from somebody else. There's definitely other things connected to that, and most of the time, most likely, has nothing to do with us, but it's something that's triggered in their mind, lies that they're believing in their mind, and they're defensive or whatever it is. There's so much more to that. So following the example, like of Christ, of loving them first, and it's not always easy. It's not, and it is a learned skill, to be able to take that and then knowing who you are and who God's made you, and fully understand who you are in Him, then you're able to, have the armor up, you're able to have everything ready for those different things that come at us, because you're solid there. So, but it takes work, it takes practice, it takes continued growth, and working on learning how to reframe your mind and stepping into scripture and everything. So I wholeheartedly agree with what you're saying there. I think it's really good and important for us to take things that are coming at us and stopping and saying, what can I control, because that will change so much of how we respond.
And you know what? We can control us.
Right. Yeah.
Our own selves. That's what we really have control over. And so I have to be able to say, what meaning am I giving this situation?
Right.
And is this something that's happening right now, or is this something that's happened in the past that's kind of coming up for me? I have to decide, how am I going to respond physically as well? A lot of times in the faith realm, we forget that our bodies hold all of this. Yeah. And so emotion is energy, and energy is life. And so, fear has a ton of energy on it. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes we're like, don't be scared, don't be scared, don't be scared, don't be scared. And meanwhile, we have to get that all out of our body and just get moving, jump up and down, just shake it off, and then process that emotion, and then let it move you into positive action.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes just having that pause, because I think it's within 60 to 90 seconds, that emotion has its time to rise and fall. So if we give ourselves that time, breathe, take a drink of water, do something before you're speaking, before you're lashing out, a lot of times that emotion will come and fall. And then you're like, okay, now I can focus on what I want to do next. So, but it's just learning how to do that and making it a priority to learn how to do that. I think that's important. So that's good. This is good. It's awesome. Hey friends, I hope that you're really enjoying this interview with Rebecca Misek. I know that it has been such a pleasure to be able to speak with her, and I hope that you are enjoying it as well. I just wanted to make sure that you knew to be on the lookout for the Growth Vault that is launching this week. I don't quite have it ready, but if you want to be the first one to know when everything is ready to go, just put growth in the comments or message me on Instagram at steph.book and I will get you that Growth Vault. It is packed with so much stuff. I'm so excited. So be looking for that. And remember, if you want to be on the waiting list, just put growth in the comments or tag me. I hope that you're enjoying this. So let's dive back in and listen to the rest of the interview with Rebecca. Your business is built on the idea that we're not here to play small. And I really think that's important, especially for people that, I serve and the people that are like listening to this podcast. What do you think are the top mindset shifts we need to embrace to build something that truly lasts, since lasting is so important to you in the business world, but even in anywhere that anyone's listening? What would you say to that?
Yeah, I think that one of the major things is resolving the incongruencies in your heart, because those are those things that it's like, you know what you need to do, but there's something inside of you that's stopping you. And sometimes we try to almost bully ourselves to just go do the thing, which sometimes that's good to push through fear into that growth, right? But a lot of times, if we can be just aware of what is internally happening within myself that is not congruent with the results I'm wanting to see, and how do I resolve that incongruency? I think that's really huge, because you think about it, put business leaders on the line here. If you're a business leader out there, if you have maybe a home business, I know mompreneurs, right? And so if you have a business, well, the stronghold on any business, the chokehold on any business is the skills and mindsets of its leader. And 80% of that is mindset. And so you can know now, not as an identity, you are not a bottleneck. Because I made a mistake. I go, oh my gosh, I'm a bottleneck. No, that's not true. But the thing that is holding my business back are those incongruencies, are those mindsets, are those things that I haven't resolved within myself. Right. And so to be able to, it's been said to me before, you can't read the label on your own jar. And I think like we as coaches, we also need coaches. Mm-hmm. And it's really important that we do this with other people around us that can help us see where are these incongruencies that are actually holding us back. Because it's like, sometimes I'm like, why, we get passive as Christians. Sometimes we're like, why isn't God doing this for me? And if I think back as a mom, I'm like, how many times are my kids like, why isn't mom doing this for me? And I'm like, because you, in order to grow into a successful adult, need to learn to do this yourself. What kind of father would we have if he was just making stuff happen for us, right? Right. But what he's wanting us to do is get into that place of trust, get into that place of congruency, get into certainty, which looks like faith pouring out, and then actually take those actions. So we have to get past those things like tall poppy syndrome, or imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome comes, and that's a big lofty word for just saying like, I'm too afraid to play really big right now, so I'm going to stay small. And then I'm going to call it like, oh, God didn't do that for me. Right. And the reality is I've been passive. I've been sitting passively waiting by for God to do something that he's asked me to do, or that I'm totally empowered to do myself. Right. And so that's a huge thing to work through. If I can encourage any of you mompreneurs out there, listen, we have to be able to self-assess, what is my responsibility? And what is a massive action I can take? Like I want my clients through this all the time is like, what is the result you really want? What is the result that you're looking for? Clarity is everything. Get really clear on your result and then attach really strongly to why do you really want that result? Why is that important to you?
Right.
And then we've got to, this is key. It's not, oh, God's going to make this happen for me. It's what's the action I can take right now, today, to be walking towards that desired outcome.
Right.
And so we do that. You start gaining like these little steps done day after day after day add up to massive action and massive results.
Yeah.
And so if you can just take that little, what is one thing I can do today towards my desired outcome, it'll change everything for you and you'll get out of your own way. That's what I love to do is look at the deeper issues, the deeper roots of how do we help you get out of your own way to really have that success that you always wanted to have.
Oh, I love that. Yes. And I think anyone that's normally listening will recognize that language for sure. I'm always talking about the little millimeter steps that you could take, just those little tiny steps, like then they add up. And so I think we need to have sometimes these big, massive steps of action and sometimes just those little steps that are giving us more confidence, helping us have more clarity. And then the picture will come, like the results will come as we move through. But there's definitely things that we need to take care of on the inside too, that is stopping us from taking those actions. So there's so much there. We have lots of work to do, but it's fun. And it's actually so, relieving or exciting when you step in and you start working on that. It becomes contagious and you just want to learn more of how you can grow and how you can change when you step into it. But it might be scary at first, but again, one little step moving in and you'll start seeing that momentum and then you're like, okay, this is good. I'm seeing some change. So that's awesome. So what does legacy look like to you, especially for women building their business with faith at the center?
You know what? I want to show up to serve more and love more and to be present more. To me, those purpose-driven outcomes drive me so much more than the dollar outcomes, right? I mean, obviously, we all want to make finances. We're entrepreneurs, okay?
Sure,
like, we all need to be, because for me, that's something that's going to bless and provide for my kids and my husband and my family, right?
Right.
But deep at its roots is showing up to serve and showing up to love and showing to be really present. There's got to be a really good why. Like there's this lady I know, she sells makeup. Okay. And so she goes, how old you are is your problem, but how old you look is mine. Right.
That's funny.
And so she gets these taglines and these creative things that draw out like as she's going because she wants to help women to feel beautiful no matter what age they're at. And so to me, man, how can I over deliver is really a question that I'm continually asking. Like when I'm launching a new product, a new service or putting something together, it's like, what does over deliver look like in this context? And also there's always a never ending improvement to be happening. And so what I am doing now, it's always so good to say, how could I make that even better? Like what's the little millimeter change that I can make that would make a bigger difference for somebody else?
Yeah.
When I was younger, I used to work in a doctor's office and they would say, man, we'd be doing so well if we didn't have any patients, meaning patients cost trouble.
Right.
But the reality is we're here because of the people we're serving.
Right.
We're here because there's a passion that was born in your heart. There was an idea that came to life. There was some sort of revelation that is beginning to breathe out of you that you're called to step into. And my thing is, you can never over deliver too much. You can never give too much away because giving comes with reciprocal giving. It's a law of reciprocity, right?
Right.
Giving allows people to give. Now, at the same time, balancing statement is, yes, it's important to charge for what you do and to get an income. Because I know some people, they'll serve to a place where they're like, oh yeah, I'll do it all for free. No. Your customers need to have buy-in too.
Right.
But it's to be coming from this perspective of open-hearted love and serving for a purpose and a mission.
Right.
For me, every client that I serve is an absolute beautiful adventure to have. And the destination I'm looking for is what is the potential that's in them and how can I pull it forward?
Right.
Like you get your mindset around that, man, you will go so far and you'll be able to get past those things. Like I feel afraid. I feel shy. I feel those things, or I feel like I'm not good enough, or maybe I don't have what it takes. All those things, you're focusing the wrong direction.
Right.
Let's focus on where we're going and how you can really show up in the moment. My daughter, she just graduated from 8th grade. They had a big graduation thing last night. It was really beautiful. And the speaker, who is actually the security guy for the school, but he was speaking, he said, he was encouraging the students. And I thought, man, we all need to do that. So he said, sometimes you're going to have no idea what to do next. You're just not going to know where you're at, where you're going, or how to even show up. But he said, all you need to do is find the next right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to me, it's like, how can I find the next right thing to do?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh, that's beautiful. So wonderful. So I know you're launching some exciting things. So tell me about Unshakable Life Community and the Peak Trail program.
Oh, thank you for asking. It is my bread and butter. I am looking to get a group of 100 entrepreneurs, business people together that we can learn to play the long game well.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, like, I help people to wear their real self without the masks. And I help people to get their subconscious to trust them again. And when life begins to really suck, we find the spot and we make sure it doesn't stay that way. So we are pioneering a community of professionals for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's Monday momentum. Like, let's set our intention. Let's set our goals. Let's set our own standard, right? Raise your own standards. Let's get set for an amazing week ahead. And secondly, what we really want to do is networking. We really believe that real magic happens inside a relationship. I personally believe my core value is that relationship is everything, whether it's with God, whether it's with others, or whether it's with your own self.
Right.
That relationship is absolutely everything. And so we are really on the move doing that. And we're being really intentional about people meeting other people from around the world. Now, talking about an adventure. People from other countries and other states.
That's awesome.
It's really neat when everybody's an expert in their own right. And when we can bring ourselves all to the same table, we can hear new perspectives, new ideas, and innovation begins to happen. And so my vision for that is that so much innovation would be birthed through that. And so that's just a monthly subscription group. It's just fun. We're having a blast. And then the Peak Trail, the way I describe it is, so it's a 12-week program. And the best way to describe that thing is to figure out who you are in every situation of life, to be congruently yourself and have the right breakthrough mindsets that'll push you through to your goals. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've watched The Lion King, but I always talk about how Mufasa, the father, is talking to Simba, the son. It's just such a good example. And he said, look at all that the light touches, all of this is yours. And so I love to help people ascend the journey up the mountain to get to that mountain peak look so they can really know what their next trail is and really be focused on to me, one big question I love to ask is, like, if you could just change one thing, it would affect every area of life. What would that one focus be? And it's interesting because there seems to be like a different thing every year or every 6 months that tends to need to be the focus. So I help people with those three things. And we really have had some amazing results. Like my girl, Lydia, I love her. She moved across the country. She started her own business. She was learning to lead other people and she was creating something of impact. But this time she didn't want to do it the same way as she's always done it, with fear, with isolation, with always doubting and second guessing. So she signed up to do the Peak Trail in the midst of that. And she said, I got a couple, I just want to share these things with you. She said, I removed now I want to get it right. oh my gosh, I just lifted the glass ceiling off of myself.
Wow.
And the other thing she said is, coaching helped me to rewrite my thinking. It built my faith and courage. It's becoming a ripple effect into my business and relationships. It's just beautiful. And what she means by that is while she's launching her business, she's working on every area of her life. And so that it ends up that it helps you to play the long game really well.
Right.
It helps you to step in fully as yourself. And so we're just having a blast over here. Thank you for asking and letting me share. It's really what lights me up is seeing those incredible results. We had another lady who she had not been intimate with her husband in 10 years, and she had actually filed the divorce papers. And we were working together for 3 months. And in that, she had a 180-degree turnaround where they had intimacy back in their relationships. They're now helping other married couples. She's made and because here's the key to this, that's really important with this testimony is there's this 180 turnaround of herself because she was so busy trying to be the person everybody expected her to be that she lost track of who she really was. Right. When she became who she truly was inside of herself, she was able to launch a business network of over 200 business leaders in her area. Wow. And so she's really awesome. Her personal stuff and what was going on inside of her always bleeds out into her business. So when you're thriving in all incongruency, it bleeds out into what you're doing in your business. And so I just really encourage everybody who's listening out there, guys, work on the holistic side of yourself, your body, soul, and spirit, everything put together as one. That's unity within yourself. You do that, it's going to reflect in your business. It really is. So yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, that's what powerful testimonies. And it's just, just a few months and just a few ways of stepping in and doing the work can make such a difference when you're having a guide. Coaching is so important. It's been a big part of my life, and I love being able to coach others. And I know that is for you too, because that it's okay to ask for help. I know that if I hadn't raised my hand for help, I wouldn't be where I am today. And so I just did a reel about that a couple of days ago because it's true. It's so different. If I hadn't made that one step and said, hey, I need some help in this area. And it's okay to do that. I think we put such a stigma on oh, I should just figure it out myself. But no. You want
to go the slow route, sure.
Right. Yeah. So, that's why I love being able to do this podcast. Is I love being able to share the things that I have learned. And maybe it'll help someone along the way, just one step further. One little step that I know might help somebody else forward. So I love that. It's beautiful. So
I have a coach. I'm a coach. I have a coach. Everybody should have somebody like that. Absolutely. That's not your direct family, that's got a bias, that's known you your whole life, or your buddies. Yep. It's really good to have somebody that can help read your label on your jar that's specifically geared to help you succeed and only helping you succeed. My soul, and I know this is with you too, Stephanie, is our sole desire for your outcome. It's only about you. Right. And we have no other motive. And that's what's really cool when you work with a coach is we're just here for your success, your desired outcome, for you to win. And it's nothing to do with us. Whereas the people around you a lot of times is, well, what's in it for me too? Right. This is really cool because we can get to the thing behind the thing and really get you pushing forward. And Stephanie, I think you are a phenomenal person and a great leader and guide. And it's just such a blessing and honor to get to be in a room with you and have conversations like this.
I've absolutely, this has been so much fun. And I said our conversation we had when we first kind of met, we just clicked right away and we just talked. I think over an hour, I think we just chatted. So it's just been so good to get to know you. And I'm excited to continue to watch you and support you and all that you're doing as well. So before we go, let's I would love to hear just one thing that you would really enjoy, something that has maybe nothing to do with business, but just something that just brings you joy every day. I'd love to know what that is.
Oh man, for me, it actually is intentionality. I put into a practice in my life of gratitude. And what I do is every day I just take 10 minutes and I sit and I think of 3 things I can be grateful for. And it needs to be I'm more than I'm just grateful I'm alive today, right? It's the little treasures. Last Saturday, I got to see a woodpecker pecking the tree, but he was really, really close to me. And it was cool to get to watch him and see him really up close and enjoying those moments, the smile on my daughter's face when I give her a Reese's peanut butter cup, or, finding those little and the big moments to really be grateful for. And then imagine my outcome, like in real life, and really get that in my mind and my heart. I just make that a practice every day. And it's really cool that when I did that, like gratitude is really underestimated. Like we don't, okay, yeah, I'm grateful, right? I'm thankful. Right. Thank you very much. But if you really make that a part of your DNA, it was interesting because, our own internal conversation can be very negative. Like the stats, like over 80% of your own internal conversation is going to be negative. But when you start out the day and you actually sit there with, what's that little thing my pet bird did that was just so cute? Or what's that little sweet joy, or the sun on my face, or, just the amazing thing is that I have a heart and it beats without me asking it to. Right. It was just given to me. And when I do that, it was really cool, is making a practice of that. Now, these memories that, I have negative memories in my past, right? But these really positive, beautiful memories of my child and my past started coming back to me in floods. And I was remembering, like, my dad, when I was really little, like second grade, I would run across this bridge that felt so big in the playground, and he would chase after me, and I had totally forgotten that. But when you're sitting there looking for those little things, so for me, it's like, what's the little thing? What is the small little kiss from God that I can just be grateful for today? And making it, just staying in this beautiful state. It sets your whole day off really well, and looking for the blessing in absolutely everything. I know that can sometimes seem like a canned answer, but I always used to blow it off like, blah, blah, blah. But when I actually put it to work, I realized the level of breakthrough that gave me was monumental. Yeah, it really was.
That's awesome. Yep. Anyone that listens is not a stranger to me talking about gratitude on here.
We get a lot, like you and I.
Yes, we do. That's awesome. Well, before we go, just really quick, why don't you let everybody know what's the best way for them to find you, follow you, so that they can be part of your world as well?
Oh, that'd be amazing. You can go on our website. It's getarrowsedge.com. Or you can even email me directly. It's Rebecca@getarrowsedge.com, or DM me on Facebook or DM me on LinkedIn. I would love to connect with you, cheer you on, serve you in any way we can.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rebecca. This has been so much fun. I will make sure I put all those links that you can get in touch with Rebecca in the show notes. And yes, there's so much gold, so you probably are going to want to listen to this more than one time. And please pass it on to anybody you think it would be helpful for. Remember that you are fully capable of living a full and flourishing life. Success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. Take care. Thank you for joining me on Flourish. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired and equipped to take your next step with confidence. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love, love, love for you to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who needs this encouragement. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram @steph.book and join our Facebook community of faith-driven women who are ready to flourish. Make sure to check out the show notes for all the ways we can connect and continue this journey of growth together. My friends, remember, you are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life. Success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. Take care.